Very interesting topic, that is HIV, AIDS, and football. Has the sports been inclusive? Today we're having a very special guest in Bwezani Mbewe, and he's going to join us live on call to discuss this topic. Remember to share this video and with your friends and family. So remember to share this video, as I said earlier, with your friends and family, so as to not to miss this lovely information that will be given out. And as we dissect the information, has the sport been inclusive to HIV and AIDS? What's your view? Remember to comment, like, and share with your friends. So we're going to have our guest. We're going to call our guest to join us live here, as we're going to talk about this great topic. So we're getting in touch with Bwezani Mbewe so that we can know more about this topic and get to discuss what is there and what's not there about this topic that we have on hand. Good evening, Bwezani, and welcome to Sport Dosage.
Good evening, Joseph, and thanks for coming here.
It's great to have you on the show, and our topic for today is HIV, AIDS, and football. Has the sports been inclusive? So yesterday, 1 December, it was World AIDS Day. What's your take so far? Has football played an important role in the awareness program for HIV AIDS?
First of all, my first comment would be no to that answer. Well, I know it's an avenue that I think would have used more to get as many people as possible aware of the pandemic. Of course, things have a little bit changed now. Just getting the statistics of about 3 million people who have passed on, close to 3.2 who are still infected, it tells you to say football has not done much in the sensitization of HIV AIDS, and clear to see that we could have done better.
Of course, we could have done better. What has been the main hindrances in taking football to where it's supposed to be in terms of creating a highlight and creating awareness for HIV AIDS?
Well, first of all, it's the number one sport, without doubt. There are too many people that follow football than any other sports, not only in Zambia, but worldwide. Now, if you just hear what I say, what is it that we were supposed to be doing? I think clubs needed to have taken a lead, okay, working with civil society organizations, to just use football as the medium of information. We could have done better as a medium of information. Look, on average, about 10,000 fans go to watch football week in, week out. Okay, so if from the start we use football as a medium, you are talking about 10,000 informed. We saw it happen in the 80s, but of course there were just billboards, t-shirts, okay, at stadiums, and I remember one game that I watched a long time ago, around 80s, at the Davis Stadium, where close to the World AIDS Day, players had put on, "I know my status, do you?" So if we had continued with that, it may not be daily, it may not have been so frequent, but once in a while, I think we would have done very better. Because unfortunately, this is the HIV pandemic we are talking about, and apparently no one is spared. You understand? Today, if you look back, almost each and every family in this country has at least someone who is positive. It tells you to say, with football, all those people, it was going to be the best medium. We've not done well. So I've talked about the numbers that draw people to the stadium, and I think we needed to find deliberate activities that would have used the game to sensitize. That's what I would say.
Okay, that's an interesting take. Now, let's look at football in this case. You see, most footballers, in fact, all footballers are human, and they are prone to diseases as well, not excluding HIV AIDS. At the beginning of most seasons or when a player is transferred, most players undergo medicals to be approved or certified fit to play in that league or tournament. Now, in a case where a player is diagnosed HIV positive, is he allowed to play in that tournament?
Well, very, very important question. It is. First of all, football is a contact game. Football has the issues of injuries. You understand what I mean? And we all know the transmission, the modes of transmission for HIV/AIDS. I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that I'm not allowed to play. Rather, I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that HIV test is one of those tests that are made. That generally, let's look at the virus itself. You know, where there's blood connection, where there's an injury, there will definitely be that problem. So, in my amateur way of answering this question, I'd clearly state to say I don't think, not conclusive, but honestly speaking, I don't think a player who is found in that state may be discriminatory, but I don't think a player who is found in that state could actually be signed on.
So, as you've said that you don't think in that way, in a case where a player is found like HIV positive, we've seen this before in the early 90s. We've read even the books of one of the famous athletes, Magic Johnson, where he came out and said that he was HIV positive. Of course, he played basketball for the Lakers, and he had to prematurely end his basketball career. Would you encourage, or would you be for the idea for players diagnosed with HIV/AIDS coming out and saying, I am HIV positive, and they can be they can be ambassadors in the sport to use the sport as an awareness too?
Yeah, first of all, let's medical tests are private. Okay, so it's up to an individual to come up. I still do not think it would actually be a good idea, like to try to push this. Okay, so these are individual decisions that one makes. We all know. People may have forgotten about the stigma, but let me take you back. 1983,
Okay, that's a very valid point raised there in terms with how HIV/AIDS was perceived in its early days and where we are right now, the 95-95 vision. Now, the fact that football players are celebrities, do you, as you said earlier on the first question, in terms of awareness and with the celebrity status that most players have, has the gap become too wide in terms of trying to advertise or trying to raise awareness between the players and the civil society organizations that are championing for the cause to end HIV? Has the gap become too wide due to the stigmatization and the discrimination involved in HIV/AIDS?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. First of all, when I received this invitation to come and talk about this on your program, look, I said, what will I be talking about? Understand that? Because I think these are things that we don't look at when we talk about football. Honestly speaking, Joseph, you should be recommended. Because I'm looking at these things now. I'm in civil society. I work for an NGO that also looks at the health aspect of human beings, HIV inclusive. And I'm also into football. Now, when I look into this, I realize that even me as a person have not participated in as much as we could have done to make sure that there's this reduction of infection. You understand what I mean? So, I'm answering your question looking at the gap, okay? I'm answering the question looking at the gap. Sorry, there's some noise in the background, but it will be okay soon. Yeah, okay, I think it's better now. Looking at the gap that is there, the gap that we are talking about, I'm not seeing anything that civil society organizations and those that are involved in the HIV side anywhere close to football. You understand? A lot of people still think that the disease is gone. It's not. Statistics will tell you to say the infections of HIV/AIDS in the country are actually on the rise. You understand? And last year it was on high. Possibly the reason could have been there was a blind eye put on HIV/AIDS and the concentration went to COVID-19. So there's been a high rate of infections. And this is the reason as why I applaud you for thinking of such topics. And I agree with you, there's so much of a gap between civil society and the sports in general. You understand? Football at its worst, it's very rare that I've seen a civil society, and this is a challenge I think that you've given me. In few days, Jose, I promise you are going to see something connected to this happening. But to answer your question straightforward, there's seriously a big gap between the clubs, football, and civil society organizations that are involved in the HIV/AIDS pandemic.
Yeah, I get your point, and thank you for the compliment there. To drive this a bit forward, the growth of football on its own right now, the numbers have increased. There's that celebrity status and there's all that raise in income, money, as well as better economic development among these players with the good monies that they're getting now. Do you think that would also affect the numbers in raising the rate of infection with the norm that is there in society, saying that most footballers are not really careful when it comes to being 100% safe and also sexually active? Do you think the rise in good standards of pay for footballers would increase the rate and chances of them being infected with HIV?
First of all, I don't want to agree with you when you say most footballers have this questionable attitude, they are sexually active. I think it's not footballers, it's the human being.
Yes.
It starts from there where we start grouping people. I'll tell you, HIV/AIDS and football, okay? It actually encompasses everyone. Because, let me give you an example. Go and watch a game. Actually, during the game, the players are more protected. Because, they are coming from the camp, they are together. You see, in their own group
Yes, that's a good point there. Now, um, looking at where we are right now, we're in a bit of the dark side, and moving forward, would recommend that players and as well as the sport overall gets involved. What would be a deliberate policy in your view that would encourage and raise more awareness on this issue to get players as well as the stakeholders involved? That is the fans. Of course, the fans are the number one stakeholders for any football club out there. For example, a club like Nkana has over a thousand, even a million fans to get them on board. What deliberate policies do you think FAS and the Ministry of Sports would step in, and what would you advise on what kind of policy would you suggest to be put in place?
First of all, awareness, okay, and to this awareness, I think it's easy. There are a lot of organizations that on HIV, Ministry of Health getting in touch with the Football Association of Zambia to invite as many organizations as possible. Look, during games, okay, we have the national team playing, the Zambia national team playing Nigeria. You know how many people are going to come up? Why don't we have service providers that are going to mount their tents? Okay, the people that go to the stadium as well. I've been to Levi Manasa Stadium. You know, when the game is at 15 hours, the national team is playing. I've gone to that stadium at 8 hours and it's already packed. So I think it's time the Ministry of Health, as we are targeting 2030, I'll explain, hope you won't forget when 95, 95 and 2030 what it means, because I think we would need to summarize on that aspect so that as a lot of people know exactly what is the World Health Organization target towards this end. So what I'm talking about is, in huge games like those, the Ministry of Health, they should not only, Football Association of Zambia, they should not only be looking for test aiders. Understand? They should also look for service providers of the vaccines that we're talking about on COVID, service providers that are able to come and test HIV. It should be a hive, because those are places where we have huge numbers. And you know, if as long as there's information to say there'll be also HIV testing, there'll be COVID vaccine being provided, you see other people that would actually see the need. Understand? So for me, those are few deliberate policies that we can put up. This is not a forcing matter. I'll tell you, Joseph, when you and me see a tent of testing, they are in a group of hundreds, maybe two, they actually decide to walk in there and test. And you know, HIV AIDS, immediately you test, you open up a lot of services that you need to get. If you're positive, you also open up a lot of services that you need to get, which are negative. So I think those are some of the few deliberate policies that could be done. Apart from the national team, clubs, information, they need to get hold of civil society organizations that are involved in this matter. What am I talking about? You need posters, Joseph. Putting posters around, it creates the mind. Other people may decide to actually go for this. So of course, there are a lot of benefits in testing, and football being the medium of a lot of people, I feel those few deliberate policies could actually be added up. Make sure that as many people as possible access the service.
Those are very good recommendations, and clearly, if all is well, there would be light, and at the end of the tunnel, and the 95 target, it will be more realistic in the ends, because looking at the numbers that football draw to the stakeholders that would want to be in touch with football. So
even before we leave that, we are aware that World Health Organization started with the 1990. The country Zambia achieved that. The more reason they added up 95, and for those that are listening, for the first time, we're talking about 95% of people that are in this country, in the country of Zambia, know their status. After knowing their status, 95% of those that know their status and are positive are actually put on ads. Okay? And when they are put on ads, we'll make sure that 95% of people that are on
very much. Thank you very much. As we are winding up, you raised an important issue on over art, and it's been one of the main drives that the World Health Organization has been talking about. Going back to the players, when it comes or to any human being out there, in terms of those who are physically fit to do sports, are there any side effects involved that would hinder them to participate fully in sports when they are on art?
Well, first of all, there's always the stigma about art. Joseph, do you know that BP drugs are more dangerous than ARVs? You understand what I mean? So, it is important, even for those that are positive, to start playing, to exercise. It's good for their bodies. You understand? The side effects that will come are those that will actually be there because you are not practicing. You understand? So, there's nothing wrong. Okay, of course, professional football has its own challenges, but I think we can as well use it in the social football. There are no side effects that are going to make you stop playing. So, that's what I would say. Understand what I mean? So, it's something that we can actually do as a nation. It is something that we can actually be proud of as a nation. Using football, using sports, to sensitize on HIV/AIDS, and make everyone well.
Okay, yeah, you can do a lot of exercise out there. You've heard for yourselves. One last thing, talking about inclusiveness, we've talked about more room for sports to become more inclusive and drive the awareness agenda forward. Do you think I'm stressing this again, do you think there's so much room to a point that we would reach that 95, 95, 95, even reach 99 or 100% if we use sports as a driving tool and make it more inclusive? Because as at now, it seems like it's not very inclusive in this cause for awareness for HIV.
To be honest, I think we've talked about this. It's very, very important. And football would be very key in making us reach these targets that we're talking about. Understand what I mean? And what are we supposed to do? Just take the services right to the stadium. Okay? So you're talking about 2030. This is 2021. We still have about 9 years to look into this and see if we can actually achieve those. I like the optimism of actually jumping 95 to go to 98, 99. Okay? So yes, it is possible. Football can be used as a medium of information, a medium of getting these services, because it's definitely a number one football story. Football, the number one sport in this country. And we need to take advantage of this name to make sure that a lot of people get those services through the game. Very, very, very good suggestions.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of the show, and it's been really, really insightful and great to have you, Mr. Bwezani.
No, first of all, look, every invitation that I get on such forums are to talk about football. So when we talked about this yesterday, I was saying, wow, okay, the big challenge. But of course, this is my field. This is what I do for a living, and I know for sure that a lot of people need these services that we're talking about. I don't think this will just end here, Jose. I think we've talked in the background. These are the things that I think we seriously need to look into. In short, I want to thank you so much for inviting me to talk about this, and also in connection of HIV/AIDS and football. I'm seriously humbled. And of course, those of you that watched or listened to what we are talking about, I'm sure we can as well do something to make sure we act and contribute towards the 2030 target of 95, 95, 95. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Okay. So that was Mr. Bwezani Mbewe talking about HIV/AIDS and football, and has football been inclusive? So we've talked about so much, and he's raised so much valuable points, and also raised points that would make sports become more inclusive when it comes to HIV/AIDS. As we go on from today, and the theme for World AIDS Day for this year, remember to always stay safe, protect yourself, protect your family, as well as be a champion, be an HIV/AIDS champion, and be a savior for your friends. Remember to create awareness. Don't promote stigma. Don't promote discrimination. So this has been Joseph on Sporty Dosage Show with my producer Lubasi Samoi, who's doing a great job in the backgrounds. Thank you very much, and remember to like this page, share with your friends and family, and you can also follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel and like the videos that are there, not to miss anything. So it's been a Dosage, and we're out.